I feel like with this drop, I am keeping the why in front of my brand. Like I said, I don't want people to never forget the why behind the brand, the reason why I started, the reason why I'm still pushing, and our story. Like I said, I feel like our story deserves worldwide attention. And I'm gonna make sure that I do a better job at always including my story in the forefront of my brand before the close, because like I said, I always want people to understand the why behind it. You know, this story is not fabricated, it's not made up, it's a real story, and I'm looking forward to bringing my audience deeper into the story, letting you guys connect more with my father and let him go deeper into his childhood and how he was raised, and just so you can fully understand our brand, our mission, our statement, and yeah, that's about it. I wouldn't say, I would say yeah. I would say yeah, because the reason why my dad went to jail was because of a rat. He went to jail because somebody decided to cooperate and set him up. So I feel like if you read this shirt, you know, it says Make America Rat Free, Silenzio World Tour. So definitely the pieces that we're making still stems from our story, because our story wouldn't our story wouldn't be our story if that incident didn't take place.
Um, my upbringing was a little tough as far as growing up. Was when you asked me the question, I started to think about it. But nah, my upbringing was pretty rough. My dad died when I was 10 from a overdose drowning. My grandmother pretty much raised me. My mom was in the streets heavy, so she also was an addict. So I used to go, over her house for the weekends and back and forth between my grandmother's house. My mom ended up passing a couple of years after my dad. So I lost both of my parents. I pretty much raised myself in the streets, So the crazy thing about just, reflecting on my lifestyle coming up, my mom showed me things in the streets that probably shouldn't have been shown to a kid. It's like pretty much she groomed me for the streets, like she taught me things that you probably should never want to teach a kid, per se, your child, you know. And don't take anything wrong when it comes to certain things. I love my mother dearly, even though she was who she is. My mother was just a straight hustler. There wasn't no cut cars with it. That's just what she was. She raised me to be the same. She taught me the streets, how to move in the streets. My dad was a working class guy. He passed away when I was 10. So I never learned any street things from my dad. Actually, once mom passed, I was already pretty much knee deep in the streets. So I was raised in the streets by other older guys that, was in the neighborhood. I didn't have any father figures besides two individuals. It was my godfather and one of my uncles. My godfather ended up going to prison for 20 years when I was like 13. So the father figure in my life was removed. My uncle, he moved similar to me, so we did things that together that wasn't, father and son type thing, but he was my uncle and I loved him as well. Well, pretty much after my mom and dad passed away, I was living with my grandmother, and them was my teen years. My grandmother ended up finding something in the house that I should not have had in the house, and we bumped heads about that. She told me if I was going to be living a certain lifestyle, then I couldn't stay with her. So I was 16 years old at the time. I moved out. I was on my own. I actually been on my own ever since 16. I never returned back home. So house. At the particular time, I was renting a house from a lawyer, me and another buddy. I actually still finished school though. Um, you know, it was crazy. Like I'd done what I was doing, but I still was going to school at the same time. So I ended up graduating, but still being in the streets at the same time. I also raised my little sister and brother as a kid. I had to take care of them as well. And this is actually before I got put out. My grandmother used to work long hours, so I was responsible for my brother and sister. So I used to take them to the babysitter, and I'll handle my street business while they had the babysitter, pick them up at nighttime, put them to sleep, and pretty much did the same thing every day. There was a lot of responsibility put on me as a child. I really didn't have too much time to be a kid. Everything was just thrown at me. At a young age, I was put in positions where I had to man up, take care of my family, do certain things. But I was also groomed wrong, if you ask me. Like, I was taught things that shouldn't have just been taught to a kid. So when, certain things are instilled in you, you're going to move off what you know. But my mother is still in the streets, and to me, it's like she just raised me to be a hustler. Like it was no other option for me. Like she taught me the streets, ins and outs in the streets, how to move product, how to prepare product. It's just like I was a soldier being groomed into the streets, but not by your friends or, strangers. This was your mom. So, when I look back and I ponder on that, these are things that I would never have taught my children. Well, the pain came from a younger age. It's like, even when my dad passed, I can remember being at his funeral and not dropping a tear. Not because that I didn't love my father. It was just in the mindset of your uncles and the older family members telling you to be strong, don't cry. I remember just standing at the coffin with like a knot in my throat. I didn't drop a tear, but it hurt so bad. Like, and for us, the toughness, dealing in the streets, you have to have a sense of toughness or you're not gonna make it. You're gonna get ate up by the wolves. There's always situations where you have to stand firm. Even in your upbringing and doing what you do in the streets, you have to stand firm. You can't get pushed over, or you won't make it in that lifestyle. So, that's where the toughness came from too. It was pretty much just bred in me as well. Like, my family, everybody was firm, We didn't go for certain shit. So, it is what it was. It was just instilled in me. Man, well, the lure to the streets was pretty much based upon what you're seeing. You're seeing the money, the fancy cars, the jewelry, all of the things that come along with the streets. So, that was pretty much the allure and what pretty much gave you your drive and your principle to succeed in that lifestyle. You was pretty much lured in by the glam and the glitter. That's what pretty much drove me as well, but I still was humble even with money. Like, to me, I didn't do all of the things that I possibly could have been doing with the money that I was dealing with. So, in a sense, I still was humble with mine, but it's, the typical thing draws people in. Some certain circumstances draw people into as well as being hungry or not being able to pay your bills. But, once you reach a certain point, like, you gotta ask yourself, like, what am I really doing this shit for, reach a certain goal and just, you still going. Like with my situation, I could have been stopped. But me still being a good person and my mindset, thinking like, well, damn, let me continue helping my friends and the ones that's not really on my level. And then when you feeding a lot of people and people depending on you, you know, and with you having a good heart, you still pushing in the wrong direction. What I could have just been removed myself from the situation and been all right. But you know, that's what really pretty much kept me in the streets, like thinking about others. When I could have just removed myself from the situation, and I wouldn't have, probably wouldn't even went through what I ended up going through. You know, I was in the streets heavy, but I always wanted a different life for, like my sisters and brothers, my children as well. You know, we live and we learn, and I see from some of the decisions I've made caused me and my family tremendous pain. You know, it's not all about the glam and glitter that these guys, you know, glorify. You know, when it all comes down to it, you lived this life and you knew what came along with this life. Just stand on your principles. You know, like even though it hurt like hell during the 10 years, but I knew what came along with this life. So any individual that's in the streets breaking law, if you decide to break law, stand on your own. Don't point fingers at your buddies, your man, get to doing all this extra stuff in the little room. Just stand firm, because this would come along with that. You know, it's a cause and effect to it, you know. I made a bad decision, but at the end of the day, I stood on my decision, you know. So, with that being said, if you're gonna break law, stand on it. Don't start pointing the finger and crying in the police car, none of that. Stand on it. Or just don't break law at all. Go to school, do something positive, read a book, do whatever you gotta do. But if you're gonna be in the streets, be prepared for the streets and be prepared what comes along with the streets.
I remember it like it was yesterday. It was September the 11th, 2012. I was 12 years old. I was either 12 or 13 years old. I was downstairs in the gym working out, and then I just heard these big boom sounds at the door. It was like boom, 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 boom. Mind you, at the time, we had a lot of pit bulls and shit, so I'm thinking, like they was here to take the dogs. So I go to the door. They like, open the fucking door, open the fucking door. Mind you, the type of door that we had, you had to have a key from the inside of the door. If you was on the inside of the house, you had to have a key to open the door. You couldn't just unlock the door without the key from the inside. So I'm telling them, I'm yelling back at them, I'm like, I don't have no key in the door, I don't have no key in the door. They like, if you don't open the fucking door, we're gonna kick it down. I just stepped to the side, they kicked the door down. Boom. They laid me on the ground. They pointing guns, they made me lay down, they pointing guns and shit to my head. They put me in cuffs and then they just raided the house. Then I had to call my mother and tell her, like, get all the police in the house, and she had sent somebody to pick me up, but yeah, that shit definitely was some shit that I will never forget, and it definitely played a big part in my life, you know. It was definitely a tough time, for sure, you know, because it shaped the man that I became today. Just imagine, like, having everything that you can dream of, you know. I don't think my dad ever told me the word no, ever, in my earlier years growing up. You know, I had pretty much everything that you can think of that a kid would want. And then losing everything and moving to the hood and just life just changing drastically, you know. But I feel like that made me the man that I am today, because I know how I feel to have it all, and I know how I feel to lose it all. So, and I went through that at such an early age, at 12, 13 years old. So me today, people always say like you so humble. I'm so humble because I know that you can lose it all in the blink of an eye, and even when you do have it all, it's important to still have morals and principles. I'm not big on bragging, I'm not big on being flashy because I was used to certain things when I was young. I was able to experience a lot of things people didn't experience at a young age. So when I got older and I started to regain some of those things, it's really nothing to me because, you know, um, material things don't make you who you are. Material things don't make you a better man. Material things don't do any of that stuff. They're just material things. So I feel like as I got older, I don't really care about shit like that no more. But like I said, that experience made me the man who I am today.
Who taught me to be the man and the leader that I am today? So I didn't have too many male role models that could have pushed me in the right direction. But as far as being a man, my godfather, was the closest father figure that I had to me after my dad passed away. So he taught me certain things and instilled certain things in me. But he went away when I was young as well. And when he came home, shortly after he came home, he was murdered. So he was taken back out of my life twice. My uncle instilled certain things into me, how to be a man and a family guy as well. But pretty much, I raised myself. I mentioned before that I left home at 16. So I didn't really have any male role models to point me in the right direction. I was just navigating, through the world and the streets by myself. So I didn't have any role models besides those two because I didn't have that many role models to even do that with. I didn't I didn't have no role models to show you how to be the perfect father or the perfect husband or just that type of guy. Like I mentioned before, my upbringing was a little tough. I was pretty much a loner. I had a couple of friends, but I didn't have anybody to push me in that right way. But nah, you know what? I can say one thing to one of my uncles, my uncle Colin, my uncle Fred. I did take bits and pieces from them, to be the man that I am too, because they are family men, working class guys, just all around good men, So I did take bits and pieces from my other two uncles. Those was my father brothers. But
Yes, I define being a man by being a man of honor, respect, and being a man of your word, and taking care of your family. I feel like you're not a man if you can't take care or provide for your family. I feel like that's a big part of being a man, but I also think a big part of being a man is also what are your morals and values that you value in life? What principles do you stand for when it comes to the way you live your life, the way you respect your life? There's definitely a lot of traits that becomes of being a man, but those are just some that I think is good. I feel like I came to those conclusions by my life experience on me not having a present dad growing up. I feel like once I got a little older and I started to realize who I wanted to be as a person, those are some of the things that stood out to me.
what does family mean to me? This is actually a tough question because it's like a double-edged sword, and I'm just basing it on decisions that I made in my life. Me per se, family is everything to me. But if you question some of my decision making, you would think that I wasn't really putting my family first. in the mindset when I made certain decisions, like even being in the streets, being incarcerated, being taken away from my family and my children. So you would think, you say you all about family, but why did you make these certain decisions? And so when, to me, my family means everything to me. Regardless of the decisions I made bad decisions, but at the end of the day, my family is everything to me. I love my family wholeheartedly. Before incarceration, I was pretty much just trying to provide for family. So, I probably neglected time with my family and loved ones, trying to provide. Now, this go around, family is just everything. Like my time, my love, like just being united with my children and family means the world to me. After you've been, taken out of the picture, you have time to sit and ponder and see where you went wrong at in a lot of areas, and some things you may have done right, or just wasn't mature enough mindset-wise to move in a certain way was pleasing to your family. But this go around is much better. I get to work with my son side by side every day. Um, it's amazing to me, a clothing line that I started when he was just a baby came full circle to provide a way for both of us to still survive years later. So at the end of the day, my family is everything to me. And if you know what I know, you need to put your family first too.
How does the word family be redefined since starting my own? Family is everything. I would say how it has been redefined more so. I think ever since I had a child, I definitely look at family a little bit more deeper than I used to, because by me having a daughter, I see how important it is to have a father and a mother in the same household when it comes to raising a child. Black African American, our culture, we don't really have a chance to grow up in the same household as both of our parents. So I feel like by me having a daughter, I see the importance of having both parents in the home while raising a child, because I feel like the dad, the man of the family, he is the core of the household. He keeps the household in order. And if you take him out of the household would kind of be a little chaotic, depending on what type of man is in the significant other's life. So I feel like I look at family just on a deeper perspective of how important it is. And even when it comes to just raising my daughter, like I feel like my daughter is going to be a better off adult just because she has both parents present in her life. I'm not locked up, I'm not dead, her mom is here, and raising her as well. It was a rocky journey. My mom did her very best to be here for us and raising me and my brother through the absence of my dad. I feel like a woman, of course, can't raise men, So that's why I said it was a rocky time, because like my women are nurturers, so she did her job when it came to nurturing me and my brother. But when it comes to male things that a young male might face in his life, sometimes, she didn't have any answers for those type of problems that I might have faced in my younger years of growing. I feel like I never thought about, like, damn, this can happen, but I also wasn't like just blind to what my dad was doing type shit. Like I didn't fully know the level of it that he was on, but I knew, you know. So I wasn't like, I was surprised that, of course, like, damn, this happened. Because I feel like when you're that young, you're not really thinking of, like, this can happen. But I always knew. I never thought that my father would go to jail, though. Ever. Like, I didn't see that coming at all. Like, because, like I said, I'm young. I'm 12, bro. So I'm not really thinking of shit like that, you know? I'm just thinking about my life. Like, I live a good life, you know? Just, I felt rich in a sense, you know? I really didn't have to worry about anything or, like, I just had to focus on going to school. At the time, I was playing basketball. Like, I didn't really worry about stuff like that. I feel like my dad did a very good job at keeping me covered and not exposing me, my brother, and my mom to certain things. You know, he kept us all the way away and separated from that lifestyle.
It means everything to be there now because like I'm behind, you know, so I'm chasing moments that can never be relived because I miss so much, you know. So I used to beat myself up a lot about that too. I just came to a point where I'm at ease with just picking up and making memories from here on. You know, I have a granddaughter now. Like I don't want to put her through what I put her father through or uncle through. You know, so I just have a different outlook on the whole situation now at this point. And you know, that comes with just getting a little older and mature and just seeing things from a different perspective. You know, I can see why I went wrong in a lot of areas that, you know, some things I can see why I still was right at. You know, so, you know, our situations that we go through in life also make who we are as an individual person. And I still, you know, I made some bad decisions, but overall, I'm still a good person. I tell my son, you know, you get a second chance because some people are going over to the grave to see their parents. You know, then you know you leave guys that have a letter instead of a number. You know, when I say letter, I mean they got life. You know, versus 10, 12, 20 years. You know, you leave guys that don't never come home. You know, so unfortunately I was blessed in those areas to still get a second chance until we redo things with my family. I'm
The
looking
right way,
for
second, do it the right way.
do it the
Might
right
not be a
way.
third.
Yeah. You know, I'm just looking forward to making memories with my family.
Having my dad now means a lot because even though he came back in my life when I was 22 years old, having him now, it means a lot to me because just having that male role model, male presence around me every day, you know, I can honestly say it was certain things that I was lacking in as a man that I now have implemented since he's home, you know. I feel like every young male needs a male role model in their life, especially a dad. You know, your dad is like really supposed to be the first person that you stand up to, the first person for a lot of things when it comes to just growing up as a young man, you know. So having him now definitely is very impactful in my life. I get to see how he handles certain situations, and it definitely plays a big part of my life now. How I navigate fatherhood by having an example set by my dad is, of course, I definitely don't want to put my child through the same things that I went through as far as having my parent leave me at a young age. I feel like that plays in my mind a lot. Just, I never want to leave my daughter. You know, I want to make sure that I'm here present through her entire life. You know, of course, we just never know what this life can bring us, but as far as me doing anything illegal or getting into trouble to be away from her, that will never happen because I'm 100% legit. But I think about that a lot. I just think about everything that I went through as a child growing up without my dad. My dad went away when I was 12 or 13 years old, so he missed like a lot of core time of me growing as a young man in this world that I could have really used them in my life around those years. But that's one of the main things, for sure.
But watching my son grow is a beautiful thing. I'm very proud of my son. And just to be honest, like my son at the age he is now, he's a much better young man than I was at that age. And you know, I'm proud of him in so many ways. As you know, watching him become a father and have his own family and just being able to work beside my son. It's just amazing to me. Like it's a beautiful feeling. Like my son is so much ahead of his time. You know, he's a great guy. He has great spirit. You know, lovable guy. He's just great. I love my boy. And my other son too. I don't want to put too much on one son without acknowledging the other one, but I'm proud of this young man. You know, who he became, who he is today. You know, he's just real. He's genuine. He's not phony. You know, so and he's being the guy that we raised him to be. You know, his mother did a good job with him while I was away. You know, so he's pretty blessed to still have both parents and you know a dad that can return home, because we got a lot of young men who didn't get a second chance with their dad, or their dad is not returning home. So you know, we blessed, put it like that. See, you got a lot of individuals too that glorify the lifestyle, but don't take in account of what comes along completely with the lifestyle. Like if you choose this lifestyle, don't be halfway in the shit if you in it. Stand on every principle. You know, as y'all generation say, you know, standing on business. Stand on business then. You know, if that's the case, you know, just be ready for it. If this is the lifestyle you chose and you want to live, just be able to man up and take your side. Don't bring nobody else in with it. If you get caught, then do your time. That's it. Or just don't do it at all. Then you only got to worry about the time. You know? So shit, this shit is not for everybody. It shouldn't be for nobody, but you know, if you choose to live that lifestyle, stand on it.